Hi, my name is Brian, and we are representing RussTech Inc., which is a language services firm that is trying to move into the Russian oil and gas industry.
I'm going to start with the company overview. RussTech, it was founded in 1994 by the president and CEO, Dr. Marilyn Young, and the vice president, Dr. Michael Launer. It's a language services firm working with over 100 languages and has a variety of service offerings and works in a variety of industries. We have a staff of 10 with 6 in-house translators, and each of the translators works exclusively into their native language. As a company, we specialize in Russian to English and English to Russian translation, and because of our in-house translators and their native expertise in the language, this allows for the best possible product with the most precision and accuracy. We provide services for the public and private sector. In terms of the public sector, we do mostly government work with clients such as the U.S. Department of Defense, Department of Energy, and Department of Justice. Some of our private sector clients include AT&T, Duke Energy, and the Biotechnology Industry Organization. For a service overview, we provide services that are included but not limited to translation, interpretation, simultaneous and consecutive, desktop publishing, cross-cultural negotiation, contract negotiation, and cultural advising, which is a service where we provide companies who are trying to go into different markets or work with different cultures, and we try to be a mediator and help them in that aspect. Like I said before, our translators work exclusively into their own language. This offers precision and also an understanding of the context and each industry that they're working in. The bulk of our projects have been with government entities at this point, and we do work a lot in the nuclear technology industry, but we are trying to branch out into the private sector. Pricing for our services is middle to middle high, but we believe that this reflects the quality of our product. And as a company, we try and differentiate our services by making sure that our client is a #1 priority for us. In an evaluation requested by the government, the Dun & Bradstreet evaluation, we received a performance score of 94.3%, and in the areas of cost and customer service, we received a 9 and 10 from 100% of respondents. This is a sample of some of the languages that we work with. As you can see, we work with languages as common as Spanish and French, and then we also work with languages a little more obscure and complicated like Pashto and Latvian. We actually had 2 markets that we were trying to enter in our situation, and we were entering the Russian market and the oil and gas industry, and they kind of came hand in hand for our project. Russia is considered one of the top 25 emerging countries by the Morgan Stanley Capital International Emerging Markets Index. It is currently suffering from the economic crisis, as are all countries right now, but actually falling oil and gas prices are affecting Russia in a different way than in some other markets. Although they are having a difficult period right now, they have had substantial growth in the past decade. They had a consistent growth rate of around 8% in the past decade, and their GDP in 2008 was 1.75 trillion, up from 1.2 billion in the 90s. And 41% of their GDP is attributed to the industries such as biotechnology, oil and gas, coal, and energy. Although they are an emerging market that has a lot of potential, they do have some characteristic weaknesses of an emerging market. They do have an extremely weak infrastructure, widening gap in income distribution, and a problem of corruption, as we heard from the group before. They are plagued with this in their government and in the business environment. In terms of the oil and gas industry, Russia is the largest exporter of natural gas in the world and the second largest exporter of oil. They have the largest natural gas reserves and some of the largest oil reserves. Oil and gas account for 60% of Russia's export revenue, and they account for 30% of all foreign direct investment. As an international company working in Russia, an oil and gas company working in Russia, it is imperative that you are partnered with a Russian firm or a firm based in Russia that is a huge asset to our firm, because those are the kind of firms we're trying to work with. We're trying to work with companies that need our translation services, and this is an opportunity for us. In terms of government influence in the industry, they have a pretty heavy hand. The government owns the majority of the largest pipeline in the country, Transneft, and they own the majority share of Gazprom and Rosneft, two of the largest oil and gas companies. But this does provide some transparency in the industry, which is increasing foreign direct investment.
And I'm going to take over with a competitive assessment of the translation services industry in Russia at this time. Some of the industry trends are, as translation services firms, they're appearing more and more as freelance teams and individual agents get together and turn into larger organizations. And also the major players are expanding their subsidiary networks, and two of these major players are Ego Translating and IBUS166 Inc., which are just two of the larger global firms. The market is becoming more structured and regulated, and this is because the government's beginning to step in a little bit and make sure that the translations are being done correctly, because the fields that the translations are being done for, like oil and gas, nuclear technology, biotechnology, are often state-run and influence state-run businesses. And also, competition and benchmarking has led to a standardization of services offered, which means that among firms in the industry, the services that they're all offering are becoming more common among one another. And then just a few industry statistics. The Russian languages services represent a $270 to $320 million market. $250 to $300 million of this can be attributed to translation and localization services. And translation and localization services isn't simply just translating a document. It's adapting the document to the culture, because there's distinct differences among, I guess, obviously all cultures, and this even goes with how documents written, how an address is written, and even the structure of the document. And the language technology market, which is like using a website to translate instantly, is 18 to 20 million. And now we're going to go into firm-specific advantages. I'm going to start with global players. The main advantage that global players have is affordability and availability. They're able to utilize a vast network of translators to get a job done as quickly as possible and for the cheapest price. And they also have pre-existing relationships with multinational corporations. For example, IBUS166, which I said was a global player, has pre-existing relationships with Siemens, SAP, Microsoft, and Oracle. So they're able to use these connections in order to help bid on contracts. And also they have a wider breadth of industries covered, whereas RussTech is mainly interested in going into the oil and gas industry and focuses also on nuclear technologies. These companies also do law, medicine, and all of the sorts of fields. And then I'm going to talk about the local players now. The local players mainly deal with small-scale projects for local businesses, and they gain this work through business-to-business networks that they're already a part of in the Russian market. And local players are able to focus on a niche industry that requires high levels of expertise, such as RussTech, which is focusing on oil and gas. However, the global players also have these experts as staff. And the local players are also forced to freelance. As we showed you, we serve over